Hi there. Welcome to the Right Here, Right Now live show. This show has one simple question. What's on your heart and mind right here, right now in this moment? We explore the depths and breadths of our humanity through that one simple question over the course of 30 to 45 minutes. I hope that you'll join us. I hope you'll enjoy the exploration. And this tune was created for me personally by the incredible Peter Griffiths, one half of the amazing Mind Takeaway. Do let us know what you think. Let us know what you take away. And of course, we always welcome challenges too. Hope to see you on the exploration. And we're live with the Papa CJ. How are you, Papa?
How are you, my gorgeous hunk of oozing sexuality?
And we're off. Thank you for joining me today, my friend. For those that are joining us, we're going live right now to YouTube, to LinkedIn, and to Facebook. And I'm just going to put a quick shout out to our mutual friend Jitrendra, who very, very kindly connected you and I. So it's all due to him that I have your chaos in my world. So welcome to the show, my friend.
Oh, it's lovely to be here. The way you asked me, I couldn't refuse. Because, you get on these conversations and you pretend to be this, lovely, positive energy sort of person. But you're really a very naughty boy, Gary. Because the last time you spoke, you said, CJ, I'd love to have you on. And I said, yeah, I'd be happy to be on. And then you said, I'd love to have you on the podcast as well. And I was like, oh, Gary, that was smooth.
and this. Oh, well, look, you can see already this guy, amazing energy. We're going to have an in the heart, in the moment exploration today. You can find Papa CJ's contact details at the bottom. Just want to say hi to Elise. Elise is a wonderful human from South Africa. Hi, Elise. Good to see you. And Papa CJ will be making you laugh and probably making me cringe in the next 30 to 45 minutes. So people are going to learn a lot about you. You've got the comedy store on your top.
Can I pick on Elise to start with?
Yeah, go on.
I do a joke when I'm touring South Africa, and I say, as somebody who's been divorced, one of the strange things that happens is that people come to me and start asking me for advice, and that too relationship advice. And I'm like, dude, we don't know how these things work. I mean, it's like going to a South African and asking them how to win the Cricket World Cup. Ooh.
Feel free to respond, Elise. Feel free to respond. Oh, amazing. Thank you for joining me, my friend. Honestly, we've had our first conversation following that wonderful introduction, and you are honestly a bloody incredible human. So I'm grateful for you joining me. But I do have to ask that question. What is on your heart and mind right here, right now, in this moment, Papa CJ?
Well, two things. One, it's that beautiful head of yours. I just want to touch it. There's something about it that just attracts me to it. I just want to rub it and absorb all the energy and magic that exists within. And the second thing that's on my mind is the test match. We're playing cricket with England today, and it's the last day of the test match, and it could go either way. So looking forward to seeing what happens with that.
There you go. End of conversation. Finish.
Yeah. Like most of the pleasurable things in my life, that was quick.
Oh dear. So look, people are getting used to already. Okay, this guy's got to be a comedian. Yeah, sure. Yeah, he is a comedian. Tell us a little bit more. Like tell the people that are watching us live, or maybe watch this back as recording, or on that podcast, maybe, Papa, who knows? Like, where's this passion for comedy come from?
Oh, it was completely. I hadn't seen stand-up comedy until the age of 28. I grew up in a working-class family in India. I took a huge loan, got onto the Oxford MBA program, spent 4 years in a consulting job that I absolutely hated. And then I tried to convince my boss that I wanted to take a sabbatical. He said, no, you can't. We're a small business unit. I went and spoke to an HR partner and figured out a deal where you could get 1 year off on 35% pay. I went to my boss, I sold it to him, and the both of us fucked off for a year. So, and in that year, I went to the Edinburgh Festival, and I saw somebody doing stand-up comedy for the first time. And I thought this was the most amazing thing in the world. I mean, here's a guy on stage with a beer in one hand, a microphone in the other, and he's just having fun. and that was his job. And I was like, I've got to do this. So literally 3 months later, I was on stage. I did 250 gigs in my first 10 months and 700 gigs in my first 3 years in the UK. And just started off from there.
So do you know the people that run the Comedy Store, like Neil Malarkey and these people? Are those people that are friends of yours?
Oh yeah. Neil doesn't run the Comedy Store. He performs there. The Comedy Store is run by a gentleman called Mr. Don Ward.
Okay.
But yeah, I remember flying into England a few years ago, into the UK, and on the aircraft they put that little map with all those cities, and I remember looking at that map and thinking, I've performed at every single city on this map, over sort of 60 towns and cities across the UK.
That's crazy.
All for no money.
This is not a business development pitch, by the way, from Papa CJ.
Oh yeah, not at all.
Here's my 10 tips how not to make any money by Papa CJ. I love it. So tell us how you're bringing comedy to the masses, though, because I think in my own experience, I've come across improvisation. I'm in sales, as you know. So that's very much an improv job, right? You don't know what's coming. You don't know what objections you're going to get. You don't know how someone's going to react. But I don't think we always embrace improv and comedy through that lens. We see it very serious as, we've got to get our ducks in a row. We must follow this process. I'm just wondering what your thoughts are about all that.
I think so. My sort of world exists where many things sort of overlap. There's stand-up comedy, there's business, there's communication. Every form of human interaction. I believe that my purpose in life is to make people feel better, and that manifests itself into, multiple different ways. With regards to connecting to an audience, when I coach people on presentations, for example, basically, I think there are two questions you need to answer. One is, as a result of your communication, what do you want your audience to think, feel, or do? And secondly, most importantly, why should they give a crap? Why should they give a crap about anything you have to say? And for that, it's got to be meaningful to them. So with stand-up comedy, for example, if I'm doing a show in a new country, I will ask the organizer to keep the last 10 days worth of newspapers. When I get there, I will talk to the taxi drivers. I will talk to the locals. I will find out about their history, their politics, their recent scandals, the news, the first 10, and their opinion on the same as well. And the first 10 minutes is purely about them. And then you've got them instantly. They're like, man, this guy has really done his homework. He cares about the things that I care about. And then you can take them across their borders. And I think that's something that applies across the world to any audience, no matter what the context. If you can start with things that they care about, you've got them on board instantly.
That's such a great insight. And I'm just laughing back at our first conversation. I don't know if we can share it or not. But when he found out that I'd had testicular cancer, can you remember?
Go on.
What
did I tell you? You told me it was the only thing you remembered. But I'm cut out to find the positive in absolutely everything that life throws at me. And I was thinking about the same things for you. What are the advantages of having one testicle? For starters, cycling, much easier. Also, now you kind of know what your political affiliations are like, because earlier you could have been a balanced human being, but now you either lean to the left or to the right. So I'm sorry, I'm just going with it, man.
Oh, I love it. This is why I wanted to get you on, because I don't have many of these sorts of conversations on the show, to be honest. And it's just great the way, and I love this weaving that you spoke to, actually, Papa, which is just brilliant, which is, you mentioned that you're the product of multiple experiences, multiple dimensions, multiple intersectionality almost. And I think you bring that through your work, right? And I think,
I find that I don't like it when people are put into boxes.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not a comedian. I'm not a coach. I'm not a story. I'm Papa CJ, and that encompasses all of these things. And it's the same when you speak to another human being. They're a product of so many experiences. And I think that's what makes you unique when you work with people as well. It's one of the things that the pandemic has really helped me with, because now when I speak to a client, you're bringing in all your past experience from whatever field it may be and thinking about how can I add value to this entire experience for them in ways that even they may not have thought of before. I mean, today, for somebody like yourself, having gone through testicular cancer and the treatment, I can't even imagine the number of insights and learnings and perspective to life that you have got having gone through that experience. And the magic lies in taking learnings from one experience and then applying it to a completely different field, because it allows you to look at that with a set of eyes that maybe somebody hasn't looked at before.
It's such a brilliant insight. Now, one of the big learnings I did actually have going through that experience was actually, and it's linked to what you said earlier about how do you want someone else to feel, think, what do you want them to do? Okay. So I knew in my body that something was happening 2 months before it actually came through. But prior to that experience, I would have just suppressed the feeling and gone, just forget it.
Yeah.
Whereas now I'm much more in tune with what my body tells me and not just what my head's telling me.
Yeah.
And that was a massive learning, Papa. That was a huge, huge learning, was actually if your body's telling you something, give it the space to at least hear it. Don't just go, hey, it's just a feeling, get rid of it.
So how have you, let me ask you this, how have you applied that to other parts of your life, potentially?
Yeah, so how I've applied that to other parts of my life is I've now actually created a business where this is the foundation, which is actually which if you see the hexo change in the corner, that is about how do we help people embody their experience of life, not just think about it, but actually how can you actually become, for example, how do you develop your vulnerability skill? If you're someone that's never felt emotion, like I never used to feel emotion, I used to always hide it away. Part of my job now, because of this experience, is to be a guide for other people who work in corporations to help them step into how to feel and that it's okay and to practice their vulnerability and to practice their self-awareness. So that's how I'm translating it from a personal experience actually into the workplace.
Amazing. I can't think of another human being on the planet who has built an entire business on the basis of his testicles. That's fabulous. that's the foundation. You know, some people build it on hard work and determination and foresight, but hell.
That is, you might just give me a new strap line for the business, Papa.
Yeah,
CJ.
totally. I was actually thinking about that. You've got to have that. You've got to have that there somewhere. I mean, people will. I mean, notice for sure. You will be remembered.
How does that serve you? Well, let me just tell you. It's do you know something? We always have fun and joke about, but one of the more it's still funny to laugh at. But one of the big reflections, the learnings I've actually had from that experience, is the rate of growth, Papa, from what was literally, we joke about it, there's a pimple on the 20th of January 2020 to the surgery on the 19th of March 2020. It was a 20x growth. It was like, it was the weight and size of a hockey ball when it's removed.
Wow.
Okay. Or a cricket ball, maybe, for today's. But the big learning for me was that's the same pressure I had on my body, that cancerous growth. Yeah. It's the same pressure we're putting on planet Earth. Yeah. Yeah. With extraction and consumerism and the pressure, more, keep growing. Yeah. So that's a real insight for me that actually what I experience in my body is actually what Mother Nature feels at the moment.
But I have an approach towards the environment which might be different to most people, which is I think you should treat the environment the way your children treat you. Because if they treat you badly, I mean, fuck their future, man. Here's some plastic.
That is a brilliant lens, my friend. That is a brilliant lens.
You know, I don't know if you've seen this clip by George Carlin about the environment. No. So George Carlin, one of the most brilliant comedians who's ever walked the planet, more philosopher than comedian often. And he talks about the planet and, environmentalists. And he said, people keep saying, oh, save the whale, save the dolphin. And there's the most arrogant thing of all, save the planet. And he's like, I mean, look at yourself. You're human beings. You've been around for barely 10 seconds. and you think that you're a threat to the planet?
Love it.
He says the planet is fine. The people are fucked. He says the planet's not going anywhere. We are.
That, do you know something? And what a playful. This is what I love about your work, right? Is like you can have like significant conversations about meaty topics, but you can still have fun doing them. And I think that's what you do brilliantly.
There's a wonderful quote by Mary Hirsch. She says that humor is like a rubber sword. You can make a point without drawing any blood. So it's a fabulous way to charm and disarm and yet get a point across.
That's a brilliant. I'm going to be watching this back. That's an amazing quote, isn't it? That's an amazing quote. Tell us a bit more about your work. What are you working on at the moment? What's really making you laugh, and what's really challenging for Papa CJ at this time?
I think what's interesting, Gary, is I've hit a point where I'm kind of re-evaluating how my purpose manifests itself. So thus far, I've always believed that my purpose, like I said, is to uplift people and help them be the best versions of themselves. But essentially, it's about making people feel better at every possible interaction. In the past, it has manifested itself in stand-up comedy, in motivational speaking, executive coaching. I started doing something called the Chief Caffeine Officer, where I said you can catch me for half an hour for coffee, conversation, or a boost. And I just find that I really enjoy interacting with people. So if you think of the sea, you've got this anchor at the bottom, and you've got these buoys at the top. So these buoys are like your behaviors, but my anchor is about making people feel better. So now I'm trying to think about what else I can do, how else that can manifest itself in ways that I enjoy. I find that if I just have conversations with people, with as many people as possible, with an open mind, then once those doors, I was listening to Jim Carrey speak recently, and he said exactly the same thing. He says, once you open the doors in your head, you will find that eventually the doors open up in your life as well, and then you just have to walk through. So I'm not really the kind of guy who lives with a plan. I'm the kind of guy who lives with an open mind and loves talking to people. For starters, the way we met, it just happened because somebody said, hey, you guys should have a conversation. And I said, I would love to. Who knows where, what this leads to. So I know my strengths. I know my weaknesses. My weaknesses are, I'm not very good with routine. I couldn't do a 9 to 5. I like doing different things. I like interacting with different people. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I would like to teach in the future in some form of capacity. I'm talking to a few universities about being a visiting lecturer. So that's interesting for me. I'm loving some of the work I'm doing with coaching senior executives, because it's magical to be able to watch people who are in positions where they can make a large impact, but who are able to suddenly look at their world slightly differently, And what's fun is that I'm able to bring to them insights from the world of the performing arts and help them apply that to business. And like you said, like you spoke about vulnerability. In a profession like ours, it's all about vulnerability. You see, when you start, you want the confidence that you can make people laugh, right? So you'll kind of go for the easy gag. Or you'll do observational comedy, which stays all the way through. So the kind of gag I would do is, as somebody who lives in India, I was taking driving lessons in London, for example. And this instructor asked me, he says, oh, you Indians, why don't you drive in a straight line? And I said, listen, I'm from Calcutta. In England, you drive on the left of the road. In Calcutta, we drive on what is left of the road. Right? So now that's something I know is going to get a laugh. Then you'll also go for the easy laugh because you'll do the populist kind of stuff. So the joke, I'll give you an example of a joke. I was in Singapore, and nothing ever happens in Singapore. The last time I was there, the front page of the newspaper, it says there was a pig on the street. Now, if there is a pig on the street in Singapore, that becomes headline news. In Germany, it becomes a sausage. In America, it became the president of the United States of America. Right? So now I know Trump gag, easy, it's going to get a laugh. then what happens is we start doing stuff that we'll use bad language, we'll pick on positions of authority, we'll do the kind of jokes that make us feel intelligent, to feed our egos. These are the kind of jokes where there's a pause and then you get it. So, for example, I went to the US. Under the Trump administration, I made the mistake of having a beard. I get to immigration. The officer looks at my passport, looks at my beard. He says, "You know what? You Indians, you're a mistake. In fact, India is a mistake." And I said, "Come on, officer, as an American, you should be grateful to us." He said, "Why?" I said, "Well, because when Christopher Columbus discovered America, he was looking for India. So to be perfectly honest, you are the fucking mistake." So, that's the kind of gag where people are like, "Oh yeah, Christopher Columbus was looking for India." But I think eventually what happens, Gary, is we operate in a profession that has no rules, no boundaries, no guidelines, no social norms. So I've always said that stand-up comedy is an outward expression of an inward journey. Eventually, you've got to go inwards. You've got to think, what are the things that I want to talk about? What are my value systems? What do I find funny? And your audience finds you. The people who don't like your kind of stuff will weed themselves out automatically. Mm-hmm. As a result, you become an extremely authentic human being. You're like, this is who I am. This is my truth. If it works for you, fine. If it doesn't work for you, also fine. And that's something that then goes to every part of your life. I mean, today, for example, I run a coaching program called Naked Leadership. It's based on this show. And I've got a book, of course, that show was turned into a book. It's an autobiographical show. But the idea behind Naked is that as human beings, we build walls around ourselves, which hide our deepest hopes and fears and desires. Mm-hmm. And in this show, and in the book for that matter, one brick at a time, I'm removing these walls, exposing myself with all my vulnerability, all my pain. It is terrifying yet exhilarating at the same time. But at the end of it, while you are completely naked, you are completely free. And what works wonderfully with that is that I'm using the vehicle of my life, but I'm talking about the human experience. So every single person watching the show or reading the book at some point is thinking, wait a second, this is my life. Mm-hmm. They're also thinking, if he can go through these things, like you going through what you've gone through, and find the positive and find the funny and be able to grow and learn out of that, why can't I? So there are so many things that people take away from it. Risk-taking, vulnerability, storytelling. I think one of the big ones is gratitude, So I've forgotten your question now, but essentially what happens is it's an incredible journey that takes you deeply inward. And when you find your voice, you just become somebody who's so grounded in terms of who they are. I mean, today, for example, my priorities are relationships. Could I be sitting in LA shooting a sitcom, becoming really famous? Yes, I could. But over the course of the pandemic, for the last year and a half, every single morning, I am able to go to my local cafe and have a cup of coffee with my father. Now, for me, that is far more valuable and important and meaningful than any amount of money or fame So, I'm incredibly grateful to this profession because it's allowed me to take this journey, be comfortable in my skin, and then let that manifest itself in whatever forms it takes in my life. I've spoken for too long now.
You haven't. It's brilliant. And by the way, you were responding to the comment about vulnerability, just so you know.
Yeah, thanks. This is the problem. I start talking and then I just get carried away and I ramble on and I forget where I started from.
But isn't that the point, though, for me, right? Particularly, and I'm going to come back to the corporate setting because I'm still in corporate. It's an area where I think we need the most healing, to be honest, is in the corporate space. Yeah. Is what would it be like if we could have more of this sort of dialogue, 30 minutes in a room and just explore, okay, what are those darkest fears? Oh, where have you felt like really vulnerable? Just to have that space facilitated by someone like you,
But
that's a gift, yeah? That's a gift.
That's exactly what, my chief caffeine officer concept, for that matter, Gary, it's about exactly that. Sometimes you just need somebody who you can have a conversation with, because, and especially guys who are really senior, men or women who are really senior, they can't show vulnerability at work. They can't show vulnerability at home. You know, uh, who do you really talk to? Sometimes you just need somebody to listen. It's not even about solving something for you. you know and in the course of that conversation, I mean, I of course have a varied background. There's coaching, there's comedy, there's business, there's so I work as an ideator, as a consultant, as a coach, as a friend. But that conversation is so important sometimes, just to bounce thoughts off somebody else and just get clarity. Somebody who can take all this stuff in your head and just simplify it for you. Saying, oh, so are you saying what you mean is either this or that? And suddenly they're like, oh yeah. I mean, I remember there's a client I'm working with from a coaching point of view, who is a superbly talented guy. He is a super achiever in his organization, but he wants to grow with all the other people. And one of the challenges is that, I mean, he's like the Terminator. He gets sent. If he shows up at your doorstep, you've screwed up. There's a problem.
Yeah.
And one of the conversations I was having with him was, when was the last time you asked somebody for help? And it's something that never even occurred to him. And so our conversation was, why don't we look for opportunities where we can find each of these people you want to build relationships with, find out the things that they're really good at, and invite them in to coach you, to help you. And when they see you as somebody who's human, who has vulnerabilities or weaknesses or needs help as well, then instead of waiting until there's a problem and you showing up at their doorstep, they might be more inclined to pick up the phone to you before that happens and says, hey, buddy, there's something going on. Would you mind having a look? I mean, how useful is that just for, building that relationship? So yeah, that's just an example of...
It's brilliant. It's so important, though, because I just want to hold, like, one of the things you said, Papa, for me, which is so important. Like, vulnerability doesn't always have to be this, like, here's all of me all of the time. Like, it can literally be, I'm struggling. Like, can you help me, Papa? See, like, that's...
Yeah.
Like, that can be enough to unlock the next level of your human experience, right?
Yeah. And also, I think it's also, I think the words you said, the two words you chose were very appropriate, which is human experience. When we go into corporates and organizations, we see people as a managing partner, leader, marketing officer, but that person is a son or a daughter or a father or or a mother, a friend. It's somebody who has health problems. It's somebody who's got somebody unwell in the family. They're a human being. And if you can connect at a human level and show them that you genuinely care, magic happens everywhere. In fact, I strongly believe in what I tend to call, karma leadership, or leadership by karma. That if you can genuinely find opportunities to try and help every person you come in contact with, in whatever capacity it may be, small or big, without any expectation of reciprocation, one, not only will that energy come back to you multifold, but also the people you interact with will actively look for ways to do something for you, to help you further you on your journey, whatever that might be. So I've strongly believed in that. I strongly do believe in that.
That's beautiful. And let's use this as an example. Had Jitendra not connected us, had you not been open to connect, I wouldn't have thought, hey, I need to get you on the show and the podcast. So it is just a beautiful... I want to emphasize this point enough. Like, please, if you're watching this live or you watch this back, like, just go out and connect with someone without expecting anything. Like, as simple as that. It's amazing. Like, my network, Papa, the last 5 years is probably 12, 15x in terms of quality, not just number, quality of connection, diversity of connection, just for doing exactly what you're describing. Just saying, hey, can we meet for 20 minutes? What do you want to learn about you? What do you do?
Yeah. Absolutely. And sometimes, you have those conversations and you may find nothing in common where you find things to do together for maybe 5 years. And then suddenly out of the blue, the phone will ring and somebody will say, hey man, I thought of you today because this came up and I think it'd be great for it. You should speak to this person or.
Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful, my friend. Well, look, we knew this would happen, right? Half an hour gone.
Yeah.
I want to give the last word to you because I think you're an amazing human, man. Honestly, I really appreciate what you're doing. I've know very few people that have the ability to weave this human experience plus business plus comedy in such an effortless way. So I just want to offer you the last words as we go out today. Do you have an invitation for anyone watching us or suggestion for those that might watch this back?
The only suggestion I have is the principle with which I try to live my life, which is just be kind to people. Yeah, life's too short. If anything, COVID has taught us that. And cherish the relationships you have. There's nothing more important than that. And always remember that flirting is a superpower. I mean, look at what I've done with Garry today. We started off with some foreplay, which was spunky. There was some meat in the middle, and we ended up with this beautiful cuddle at the end and talking about all these beautiful things like karma. So, and since you want me to leave you with one word, I think the word I would leave you with is testicle, because that is the foundation of what you have built, my friend. I'm just being a brat now. I'm just rambling.
I love it, but do you know the silly thing is there probably is going to be some sort of marketing off the back of that now, all because of you. So yeah.
but here's the thing. Garry, what we've done in the last half an hour is we've spoken about silly things, we've cracked jokes, but this is one message I would probably give as as somebody with my background with which blends comedy and business and all those things, is you can still have fun and achieve a lot. You don't have to be serious about everything, right? You can play, you can joke, you can have fun, and humor is a superpower. You can bring it to every interaction. It will help you negotiate. It will help you present better. It will help you form better relationships. It will help you in your personal life. So you don't have to be serious to achieve serious goals. You can have fun along the way. And I think that's something we should all do.
I'm going to leave you with this, Papa, because it's just so interesting. And for anyone watching this live or watching it back, without bias, this is, I think, like the 35th time I've done this, okay? The three principles that keep on coming up every single time: play, we call that curiosity, experimentation, whatever; connection to yourself, to others; and healthy growth. So, just growth that's healthy in line with it. It's these three things just keep on coming up every single conversation, Papa.
This sounds like a Tinder bio, my friend.
How can I weave my single testicle into those three things? I'm not sure.
Well, you had play, you had curiosity, and you had healthy growth. Well,
yeah, mine was unhealthy growth. But on that note, Papa CJ, thank you, my friend. I appreciate your time, everything you're doing. And thank you for joining us. Elise, thanks for popping by. Anybody else that watches this back, do check out Papa's sites again. Final time, papacj.com, papacjnaked.com.
That's just naked.com is just a website Garry's built for his own amusement. But I think we do need to tell them one more thing as well. As Oscar Wilde said, while a lot of our conversation has been in the gutter, we've still been looking at the stars. So,
touche, my friend. Have a great afternoon and evening, and stop thinking about me. Take care, everyone.
Love you, buddy. Take care.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye. Love you too, my friend. Take care. Bye.